because you limit the amount of oxygen to your brain, and you're actually impairing your blood vessels in your brain as well as in your heart and in your lungs. So that's number one.
So does it begin to present itself like when you're aging in your advanced years, or at any time?
Correct.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that if you start smoking today, you'll instantly start exhibiting signs of dementia. It accumulates over age, and the signs and symptoms present themselves in your later years. So from the ages of 60, 65 going up, we start seeing symptoms and signs of dementia in smokers. And again, I have to repeat, a risk factor on its own does not necessarily mean that you will definitely have dementia. So if you're a smoker, it's not definite that you will have dementia. And again, even if you're not a non-smoker, that doesn't mean you will not get dementia. So these risk factors shouldn't be read in isolation.
Okay, so that's one.
So that's number one. Number two is excessive alcohol consumption. Kunwisisa doro. We know we like to imbibe on our Fridays, over the weekends.
Hands, you only live once.
You only live once. That's correct. Candy, that's correct. But what we're saying is excessive alcohol consumption. These are risk factors that alcohol in itself is ideal. It's good. It calms us down. It puts us in a happy mood. But when it's done excessively, again, brain health is heart health. You are impeding your brain function. Kanamuna dakwa paipa. Occasionally, yes, it's fine, but if it becomes a habit over time, you're actually reducing your brain capacity to think. You're reducing the capacity of your neurons to process information properly and to travel within the brain properly. So you're increasing your risk for dementia with excessive alcohol consumption. So again, we are talking about modifiable risk factors. We can reduce the amount of alcohol that we take, so that in later years, we can reap the benefits of living a good life and being able to function with proper cognitive mental health.
Okay.
And number three, this one can be sensitive, but it's obesity. Obesity means either kufutisisa. As you get bigger, you're increasing pressure on your heart to pump more blood to hard to reach places in your body. So you're putting pressure on your blood vessels. Your blood has to pump harder and faster to get the same amount of blood flowing through your body. So again, that increases your risk of dementia, because you are affecting your blood vessels in your heart, but most importantly in your brain. You reduce the amount of oxygen that you can receive, that your brain can receive. You're impairing the shape and size of your blood vessels in your brain. These three factors, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and blood pressure combined, can contribute to what we call vascular dementia, which is caused by multiple strokes in the brain. And I think you might be aware of what strokes are. This is when your brain is deprived of vital oxygen and nutrients to your brain. And again, this boils down to your body mass index, which is your weight, ku futisisa kana ku simbisa, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, yatinoti sugar, as well as BP, hypertension. So these three can be read together. So that would be risk number 3, 4, and 5.
Thank you so much. If you're just tuning in, it is Wellness Wednesday right here on the Morning Galaxy. And we have Chiwoniso Matemera and Wadzanai Mutiwanyuka, both representatives from the Zimbabwe Alzheimer's and Related Disorders Association, giving us the 12 risk factors for dementia. If you have any questions, feel free, 0772162651. They will be happy to answer those in relation to what we're talking about today. We're going to take a musical break and we'll be right back after this. time. It is the Morning Galaxy Wellness Wednesday, and talking about Alzheimer's disease. And September is World Alzheimer's Month. An annual international event always held in September and run by the Alzheimer's Disease International. And in studio today we have representatives from the Zimbabwe Alzheimer's and Related Disorders Association, Chiwoniso and Wadzanai, talking about the 12 risk factors for dementia. So they were talking about smoking before the break, alcohol, obesity, and we continue.
So the sixth school or work, you are not moving. So your body is simply plonked there. There's no physical activity. We need to be able to move our limbs and to get our heart circulation going. So a sedentary lifestyle is actually called the sitting disease.
Or the sitting disease.
Yeah, correct.
It has a name.
It has a name. It's called the sitting disease.
Okay.
You're sitting for more than 6 hours a day. You're at a greater risk of having a sedentary lifestyle and obviously getting dementia in your later years. Our bodies were created to move, to create energy. Kana uchingoswera wakagara nyama dzinoregedzeka. Ndopa tinowana vanhu vachisimbisa, vachifutisa. You actually lose the ability to do certain things. So physical movement, physical exercise is very important in reducing the risk of dementia. So that's risk number 6, sedentary lifestyle or the sitting disease. And again, I repeat that these are modifiable. They're things that we can do to prevent the prevalence of these risk factors and therefore the chances or the likelihood of us getting dementia in our later years.
So it's about being intentional with our lifestyle modification.
Very, very correct.
To cut the alcohol for those who are drinkers, and for those who smoke, you've heard it, that it will present itself, there is a chance of it presenting itself at the later stage of your life. So we move on to the other 6.
Yeah, the other risk factors. So that would be risk factor number 7. That would be hearing impairment. So if you're not able to hear properly, you're going to be straining your brain to listen, and if you're not listening properly or if you can't hear clearly, it means there are parts of your brain that aren't being stimulated, and lack of brain stimulation leads to brain shrinkage, which results in tissue loss in the brain, and that affects your neuron pathways. So your brain stops to function as it should, and as Wadzanai has been talking about, that does lead to dementia. The next point would be depression. Depression means that someone they don't want to engage in any social activities. They want to keep to themselves. So there's a research by Johns Hopkins that showed that youth who were depressed in their teens, as they became adults, 59% of them developed dementia. So that lack of social activity, which is also point number 11, that lack of social activity leads to dementia because you're no longer exercising your social skills. Then there's also air pollution. Air pollutants can affect the brain and lead to cardiovascular diseases because there's particles in the air. In air pollutants that will these are like very small particles, maybe from traffic fumes, from burning wood in the house, for example, in a fireplace. If it's not working properly, if a person breathes in these particles, the particles may cause damage to blood vessels. Yeah, over time, like increased exposure to bad air. So that causes blood vessels to be damaged in the brain, as well as a buildup of substances that can cause Alzheimer's disease.
We've done the 12?
No, there's head injury,
okay.
Traumatic head injuries. Traumatic head injuries can lead to damage to the brain, which affects structures that control memory and emotions. And memory, like we've said, is one of the things, the symptoms of dementia. Memory loss is one of the symptoms of dementia.
Okay. So head injury is also a risk factor.
Yeah. And then we move on to less education. So less education means that there's something called cognitive reserve. And this is a person's ability to cope with disease in their brain. And it is built up by keeping the brain active over a person's lifetime. So research has shown that leaving education too early causes your brain to relax. It's, a brain is also like a muscle. It needs to be exercised by stimulation, games, things that we do socially, even learning a TikTok game, a TikTok dance, doing something different. It exercises your brain and allows it to stay active. Now, once parts of your brain start to die off, that can hasten your chances of, increase your chances of getting dementia. And those are our risk factors. Have I left anyone out? Okay.
12 risk factors.
Yeah. The reason why ADI is focusing on risk factors this year is to just say it's never too late or too early to reduce your risk factors. And those are the hashtags this year. Never too late, never too early to reduce your risk factors, because most young people or most people in their youth think, I'm 30, I'm still too young to be worried about dementia. But how you live today affects how your brain functions tomorrow. So people with cognitive impairment didn't just wake up with it, but there are things that you can do today to reduce the chances of you getting dementia tomorrow. The alcohol you take today, doing the YOLO, the drugs that people are taking today, the vapes people are taking today, you don't know the effect that has on your brain function. So that's why Alzheimer's Dementia International is really focusing on reducing your risk factors today.
And Wadzanai, would you want to come in to add?
Yes. So we have the 12 modifiable risk factors that we've covered. There are non-modifiable risk factors, such as your genetic background, that you unfortunately can't do anything about. So we're here to simply encourage people to focus on what can be changed, what you have power over now. So living an active life, fighting off the sitting disease, being active, reducing our smoking, reducing our alcohol consumption, trying to live a healthy life. So we fight off our type 2 diabetes, we fight off hypertension. These are things that are within our power, within our control, that are not determined by genetics, that we can do to preserve our brain cognitive power for the future.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take a break. We're also live on Facebook. You can join the conversation. Alzheimer's disease, dementia. That's what we're talking about. If you have any questions, you can also hit us up on our WhatsApp platform, 0772162651.
Monty's beans. Beans and mubakizi. Monty's beans. Beans and mubakizi. Hakuna beans zinona kakufu.
It's South Africa. There's so much more to see, to feel, to explore. Discover more at southafrica.net. Come, journey with us.
Watch me now. You know the regard. Kaboom.
A fairy gun, Aukuzegi. It started him sounding good all the time. 17 minutes to 12, 17 minutes before we step down. We're talking about Alzheimer's disease. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up on our WhatsApp platform. And September is World Alzheimer's Month, an annual international event always held in September and run by the Alzheimer's Disease International. And in studio today we have two representatives from Zimbabwe Alzheimer's and Related Disorders Association. We have Shioniso and Wadzanai. They're giving us the 12 risk factors for dementia. And if you have any questions also, 0772 162 let's look at the warning signs of dementia. What should we be worried about, or what should we be aware of?
So, V Candy, every person is unique, and dementia affects every individual differently. So, no two people will experience the same symptoms in exactly the same way. However, there are 10 distinct warning signs of dementia that family members, carers, health workers need to look out for. And number one is memory loss. Kutadza kurangarira. When this becomes chronic, it's a sign of a problem. So there's ordinary, forgetfulness, everyday forgetfulness. You might forget your phone. You might forget your keys.
Where you put your keys.
Where you put your keys. I think we do that all the time. However, if you forget something as fundamental as how to drive, yet you've been driving for the last 25 years, it's a signal of something wrong. It's not ordinary forgetfulness. It's now become chronic, and the type of things being forgotten are quite significant. So that's number one. Number two, kutambudzika pakutaura. Which is you lose the ability to speak. In medical terms, it's called aphasia, where you completely forget how to talk.
When it comes to speech.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So your brain knows what you want to say. However, the neurons and the motors have been lost because of dementia. So you actually forget how to speak or how to pronounce words. So there are two celebrities who've made it known, and it's in the public domain. Lyra from South Africa. She had a stroke, and she completely lost the ability to speak. She had aphasia, as well as Bruce Willis. He's an actor from way back in my time. And he has dementia, but one of the first things that happened to him was
so
loss.
sad.
Yes, was loss of speech. So again, that's significant. And then Pane, I think Chi mentioned this one, depression or social isolation, where a very happy, bubbly character has all of a sudden withdrawn from public and social life. And it's not just about maybe a once-off, he does that once a week, but he completely shuts off from the rest of the world. Someone might stop going to work altogether without a proper valid reason for going to work, stop attending church activities, stop attending social activities, and completely withdraw, not just from within the community, but even from family as well. Someone spends 2 weeks locked up inside. It's a sign of social withdrawal, but again, it's a warning sign for dementia. Then pane matambudziko ekuchengetedza zvinhu. So it's not just about forgetting your keys or forgetting your cell phone, where you actually lose belongings. You lose your money. You forget where your wallet was. You've decided you're going shopping. Between home and the shops, you've somehow lost your wallet. You've decided to go to the bank. Between the bank and the ATM, you lose your bank card, you lose your ID, you misplace things in the house, small things. You might experience someone misplacing things and putting them in a very awkward position in the house. So whereas the buckets should stay either in the bathroom or the kitchen, they're being placed in the fireplace in the sitting room. So you notice that Sekuro Gogo keeps on putting things in very odd places. It's a sign and symptom of dementia. It's an indicator. It has to be looked into. Then kune kushanduka kwezvinu, which is confusion with day, space, and time.
Okay.
We have yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, for instance, we have the circadian cycle. There's day and night. We're active during the day and we sleep at night. A person with dementia will not sleep during the day and will not sleep at all during the night. This is quite different to insomnia. You might have insomnia for a few hours, whereas a person with dementia might not sleep for an entire week. Where everyone else is sleeping, Gogo happens to wake up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and she wants to bath because she wants to go for a church function. This is at 2 a.m. in the morning and she can't go back to sleep. Or she decides she wants to cook supper at 1 a.m. I know kumusha kakawanda zvinoitika sekuru kana kuti gogo vabva pamusha pakati peusiku and they start wandering. There's an element of wandering there that's combined with not knowing day, space, or time. Unfortunately, we have stigma associated with that. Chinzi sekuru vakuroya sei vachingofamba mausiku sei vasingarari. It's not uroe, but avachatombozivi kuti what is day and what is night, so they don't sleep. It's a very dramatic warning sign that people need to look out for. It might present in incremental bits as insomnia, but it actually isn't. You really need to monitor this one because hand in hand with not sleeping at night, they might wander during the day. And the wandering can be quite extreme. I'm sure you've seen social media alerts where Sekuru has not been at home for the last 3 days. Vakabvaku mabvuku vakazoonekwa vaku chegutu kana kuti vaku kadoma kana kuti kuchinoi. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know what's happening. Again, that goes hand in hand with the circadian cycle, not knowing your sense of time, space, or day. That's wondering. Then we also
do they then come back to consciousness to know at some point?
Unfortunately, no. So with the wondering, scientists are still trying to discover why they always want to go back home and why they want. Okay, they go hand in hand, but scientists still can't figure out what exactly happens in the brain. With dementia, you simply lose the ability to create memories. We are here in studio right now. I'll remember this for years to come. However, a person with dementia, in the next 30 minutes when they leave the studio, will not recall that they were in studio with V Candy talking about dementia.
This is sad. Yeah.
So they cannot, once they wander off, they leave the home, they leave the community that they're in. They have no idea where they are. They can't recall how they got there and how to get back. And more often they will talk about ndoda kwenda kumba kwangu. I want to go home. Because you cannot make memories and because your brain neurons are slowly being pruned away because of dementia, they can only recall things from way back in the past. I've spoken about the wandering or the lack of sleep at night and the wandering. You'll often find vanhu vedu vechikuru talking about vanhu vakafa. Sekuru vavo, mai vavo, their brothers and sisters who've passed on, or their friends from way back in high school, or a past girlfriend. Yet Sekuru is in the home. He's married. He has
Tumbuya.
5 children, Tumbuya,
And grandchildren.
and grandchildren. Because of dementia and because of the inability to make memories, Sekuru will completely forget his family. He will forget his children. He will forget his wife. He will forget that he has grandchildren. He will revert to being a young man. Jaya. Jaya.
So that's
That-
the last of his memories that he has.
Those are the last of his memories. Sekuru vachiri ku mombe ndonyaye dzinenge dzichitaurwa. Sekuru vane girlfriend yavo Cecilia. Ndonyaye dzinenge dzichitaurwa. Yet Sekuru has his wife Margaret and 5 children and several grandchildren. So it causes a lot of confusion. It causes a lot of pain and anguish within families. But again, once someone starts talking about things that happened in the past and has no recollection of an immediate memory, whether it's a day, a week, or a few months, or even years back, it's a sign. It's a warning sign of dementia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you want to add on anything, maybe for checking our time for those who are dealing with this? It must be so difficult, hey, where you can't create more memories and they don't have, any remembrance of any experience. And in some cases, they're not even aware of who you are as a wife or as a child or as a grandchild. Must be devastating.
It is quite devastating. We try and counsel people to be very alert to some of these warning signs, because they start off being, once-off events here and there. But again, because dementia is chronic and it's progressive, it builds up. So don't take offense kana sekuru vasachakuziva washika kumusha kana kuti pamba, or they're behaving erratically. Because again, what's happening in their brain is not the immediate reality, the physical reality. However, they're living and re-experiencing that within their brains because of dementia. The fact that neurons are being pruned, they cannot remember what's immediate and present. They can only recall what's in the past.
Yeah, and to add that to that, it's not only difficult for those taking care of a dementia sufferer, but it's also very hard for the person going through that, because a lot of times they probably find themselves very scared, not knowing what's going on, because
Who they are with.
literally they can't trust things going on around them like we can. You will recognize that I came to this space with Wadzanai. They will leave home, maybe they're about to go to the doctor, and all of a sudden they're thinking, where am I? Where is home? What's going on? So they're in a constant space of things changing around them, and that is pretty scary. And so that is why we do this, to give information to people. Since the disease has no cure, the best thing you can do for someone with dementia is to make their life comfortable, to improve their quality of life. And the more people understand about the disease, the more their lives are at least made bearable and easier.
So not curable, but is it manageable? Like, do they take any medication? What's the next step?
It is manageable. There are medicines out there to help with symptoms. Like, let's say Gogo is not sleeping. You might get medicines from your GP to handle the not sleeping. If maybe they're depressed, which is also something that can come with dementia, they'll get medication for that. But the disease itself cannot be cured. It will continually progress. So, yeah, no cure for dementia.
And my granddad doesn't remember me or my daughter, but anytime he sees an advert for the Jade soap, he remembers he's got a great granddaughter whose name is also Jade. Yeah. Okay. And just the last parting shot from the both of you ladies, the take-home message.
The take-home message is a healthy brain, is a healthy heart, is a healthy life. Enjoy your life now, YOLO. Live in the present, but remember that there is a future, and dementia is something that can be fought. You can fight it as best as you can, by taking into consideration the 12 risk factors and trying to live the best life you can, and that's a healthy lifestyle for your future.
Yep. And for me, I'd just like to leave the listeners with information on our memory walk, which is being held tomorrow, the 21st of September, which is World Alzheimer's Day. So we are meeting at the Bordeaux Racecourse from 3 to 6 p.m. And we've got light refreshments, water for everyone taking part. So bring a friend, bring a hat, and we can walk together.
From what time?
From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
To 6 p.m.
Yes.
For those who want to reach you, where do we find you? Your contact details, website, etc.
All right. On Instagram, we are on our page, zada.harare. That's in small letters. Our Facebook page is Zarda. That's Zarda in